In life, you have two choices. You can build a lifestyle or you can live a bullshit life, but you can't do both. Welcome to the Freedom Lifestyle Experience, where we focus on building the lifestyle you want. And now here's your host, Michael Burns.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Freedom Lifestyle Experience. I'm your host, Mike Burns. Appreciate you guys tuning in again today, episode 5. So the show's live now. It's launched. We're basically dropping a new episode every Monday, and this is episode 5. So there's been 4 of them out there, but really appreciate all the positive feedback and support. It's been fun, sitting here recording these episodes, but now they're live, they're out there. We're getting reviews. People are listening, hearing the feedback, and it's just been awesome so far. So today's January 6th. It's New Year's 2022. We got the whole new year, new me thing going on, winding down the end of a year and gearing up for the new year. Everyone's excited. They've got their new goals, their shit they're going to do this year, the hoorah, fuck yeah, we're going to go have a kick-ass awesome year. But that buzz wears off real quick. Revisit maybe the middle of February, middle of March, and we're just kind of back into the routine of things. So what we're going to talk about today is the thing that paralyzes all of us and gets in the way more than anything, and that's fear of failure, and also fear of just what others are going to think. But the idea of failure and the idea of failing prevents us from even starting. At least, that's been my experience with it anyways. So fear is such a paralyzing and controlling thing that just, it really paralyzes us. And really, I think for me, what I do when fear gets in the way, it's not even a real thing. Fear is just a thought that we come up with. And then it's an idea that we run with and we allow our mind to just kind of take over. But you can flip that and, think about, what if I succeed? What if things go well? And try and run with that idea. And really, it's the exact same thing we're doing. It's just what our mind is allowing to come into the space. So one thing when it comes to fear, what you should do, and I was with one of my buddies the other night and he said something and it was such a powerful statement, but he said, imagine what your life would look like without fear being present. Think about that. If fear was not a thing and you had zero fear of failure or zero fear of just having fear in general, if fear was not present, imagine what your life would look like and what it could be. But not only that, if you knew fear wasn't present and you knew there was no thought of failure and failure wasn't an option, what would you actually do with yourself in your life? And that's the way that we need to approach this freedom lifestyle experience that I'm talking about. You need to remove the idea of fear out of the equation so then you can actually truly do and be whatever it is you want to do and be. Because again, fear is just a paralyzing thing and it prevents us from life. Freedom lifestyle experience is literally on the other side of fear. So we just got to go into it head first. So what I want to do, my fear of failure really is what it comes down to. But what I've found in my personal experience in life is these failures or these things that we're so scared of. My biggest failures or the biggest hard moments that I've had now that, I'm on the other side of them and down the road from where I was at in that moment. But my biggest failures have actually been my biggest blessings and my biggest learning lessons, but also my biggest moments that have shifted and catapulted my life forward. So I wanted to share a few of those things with you and just talk about it, because when we really start talking about fear and the idea of it and you lean into it, I think really you can kind of wrap your mind around a lot of the shit that we're thinking about. It's just these ideas that we come up with and it's really not even true. So one of my biggest failures in life or in my adult life, what I would consider a failure is when I was doing inside sales. I was kicking ass. I was setting company sales records. I sold a little over $2 million worth of product that year. And I was an inside sales rep and an outside territory had come available. And that was a rare thing. Like territories didn't come up very often. I only saw that happen like maybe 2 times in the 2 years that I was working at this company. So this territory came available and it was in Eastern Washington and Central British Columbia. It was an awesome territory. If you got the territory, you probably would have moved to the Spokane area. So I applied for the territory and it came down to me and another guy who had been with the company and also doing inside sales. He had been with the company, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years. And he was from that area as well, the Spokane area. So anyways, applied for the territory. Based on performance, I should have got it. I mean, I sold twice as much stuff as this dude did. I more talented, better skill, better work ethic, just all around. I was a clear winner for this position, but I ended up not getting the territory. And when that happened and I found out I wasn't going to get the territory, I was fucking pissed and I couldn't comprehend why would I not get the territory? I literally sold double what this dude did, and it's clear that I'm the better guy for the job. So I was pretty upset about that. And that was actually kind of the thing that made me depart that company. But now looking back on it, that's the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I mean, the moment I was real upset about it. I was making about $60,000 a year as an inside sales rep, and getting an outside territory, that was like the holy grail. That was the goal. That territory is probably producing $1.5 million, maybe 2 million a year in sales. And an outside sales rep, they were like on an 8 to 10% commission. So, that would have been, what is that? $180,000, $200,000 roughly. And at the time I thought, fucking A, I would arrive if I could make money like that. So anyways, I didn't get this territory. And then what ended up happening is that made me pursue going out on my own as a broker, 1099 sales rep for a couple different places I put together. And I kind of shared that story in episode 1. And I, got exclusive rights to sell this product, and I hit the road. And going on that journey and that experience gave me life lessons, both in sales and business and dealing with people and addressing the fear of making a true cold call and literally going out and building out a territory and a business from zero. I'm talking all I had was an opportunity and a lot of work ethic and some hustle. And that literally teed up the rest of my life and the beginning of everything that I'm currently doing today. So in the moment, it was a crushing thing, but it ended up being the best thing that could have possibly ever happened, and shaped the trajectory for the rest of my life and where I'm at now. So without that failure, there's no way I'd be where I'm at right now. Another huge loss to this day. This is the largest financial loss and a top 2 most stressful situations I've ever had in my life to date. And that was our second flip. We had just got done finishing up our first flip, made $24,000 on it. Thought, hell yeah, this is awesome. Real estate's where it's at. I'm going to make a ton of money. And on our second flip, we lost $50,000. So brand new in the business, second flip, 50 G's lost. It was 48,500 to be exact. But that, I can honestly say, of everything that's happened in my life and my business career, going through that specific situation right there has been my number one, my biggest hurdle that I've gotten over, and was a defining moment and a defining deal and situation in my career. So me and my brother were doing this flip. It was $600,000 property at the time, which in Salt Lake in 2011, 2012, that'd be equivalent to about $1.2 million deal today. And for our second flip, $80,000 rehab, we had no business at all doing that, but we did it. And it was a tough experience. We had a hard time with the contractor. The property was for sale on the market for probably 130, 140 days. We had hard money that was a 6-month hard money loan, and that 6 months was up. So every single month I was having to renegotiate extending the hard money loan with the hard money lender. And literally had to do that, I think all in all, we were in this deal for probably, 9 months, I'd like to say. So really stressful. And I was way out of my league in what I should have been doing. But so a huge failure, you lose 50 grand, and the deal, you think it's going to be a 4 to 6 month deal. It ends up taking 9, maybe 10 months. And everything about that was a giant failure. And going into it, if I knew oh, hey, there's a possibility I'd lose 5 grand, let alone 50, there's no fucking way I would have signed up for the deal and done it. But going through that whole situation and all the stresses of it, and, that not being able to have the money to pay the gas and the utility bill, and having one showing a week, and having to go through the mental adjustments of knowing like we're losing money on this deal if we sell it at list price, and we got to drop the price, probably $5,000 or $10,000. So you're already losing money, and you know that, and then now you're about to drop the price, $10,000 to try and get it in the right price point. It was in the winter time, which in Salt Lake City, winter real estate slows down. So it was just, it was a lot. It was a lot to handle and go through, but we ended up selling the deal, just like everything always sells. And we got through it. We took a big hit on it, lost all the money we made on our first deal, but we got lucky and had a couple wholesale deals come through that we had, made 20 grand on one and 10 grand on another. And we kept grinding it out, and we kept showing up, and we kept grinding it out and grinding it out and grinding it out. And we were able to get through on the other side of that. And I can tell you, when you're new in business and you've got limited experience, and you go through an experience of losing 50 grand and just everything that entailed with that situation, and the confrontational phone calls and meetings with the hard money guys saying, hey dude, we need an extension on this, the property's not selling. And then, going through the tough decisions of like realizing we need to drop the price when we're already losing money, and just waiting and having one showing a week, going over before the showing happens and turning the heat up to 70 degrees, waiting for them to leave, calling the agent right after they leave. How'd it go? What can we do? We'll do anything, any adjustments that the buyers would like, and just begging for an offer or any sort of interest at all. And then, going back in and turning the heat back down to, 45, 50 degrees. So the pipes don't freeze, but we keep the utility bills low because we were broke and couldn't pay them. Just going through that and grinding it out and not quitting and not giving up. And then when we sold the deal, we had borrowed probably $25,000 from my dad, and we weren't able to pay him back. Just having all of the talk about fear of failure, like just failed, borrowed money from dad for this thing. Like we fucked up, we lost his money, wasn't able to pay him fully back. It took us like 6 months to get him his money back on that, which we did. But the point I'm making is going through that entire process and getting out on the other side. And then we lined up other deals. And like I said, we did some wholesale deals in the meantime, and we just kept grinding, and we got through it. On the other side of that, my confidence in myself is the biggest gift I could have ever been given. And just the mental capacity that I now knew I could handle, that has served me way more than the $50,000 that we lost, moving forward. So that's another, huge failure that I wanted to share. We had another deal. We were still young in business. It was the first few years that my brother and I were flipping houses. And we had this deal in what they call the Avenues in Salt Lake, which is above the Capitol. It was another higher end area. Doing another higher end property, which we did execute on this deal well, and we executed good, but the market shifted and ended up losing $25,000 on this. But not only did we lose money on the deal, but it like my brother, this was actually when my brother and I parted ways, and I pretty much said, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'll send you a check when this is done. Like, I kicked him off the job, essentially, is what happened. And in the flipping business, he and I just, we were young in business. I was real intense. He's total opposite of me. And this was the last deal that we really did as a flip together. We've done some stuff since then, and now we're partners in the mortgage company, and we work together really well now. But in the moment, like, this fucking deal ruined me and my little brother's relationship for probably a good 6 to 12 months. And I'm sure there were some sour feelings, much longer after that. So, blew up our relationship. And then another problem that happened on this deal is we had a first position hard money loan to buy the house for like $325,000. And then we had a second investor lend us $100,000 for the rehab. So we had the first position for the purchase price, $325,000, and then we had a different set of investors lent us $100,000 and second position lien for the rehab money. So going through the deal, executing on the deal, house turned out awesome. Same thing though, the market was starting to make an adjustment. It was in the fall, and there was another investor who had like 5 flips going on right around me, and he started slashing like $50,000 price reduction. So his property started moving, and mine stayed because I wasn't being aggressive with price reductions like he was. But anyways, it gets to point in time where it's clear we're going to lose money on this deal. And I don't remember how it came up, but I was talking to the title company, and I think I was looking at the payoff amounts, just trying to factor, the original loan amounts, and then, what our interest was, and really trying to figure out where my all-in number was so I could, make some decisions on offers we had. And when she was pulled title and she was going over everything, it was brought to our attention that the guys who were supposed to be in second position lien for that $100,000, somehow they got recorded in first position. So they're in first position, and then the guy who should have been in first position, who lent the 325 to purchase a property, he got recorded in second position. And that's like a major problem, especially when you have a deal going sideways. And I was in a position where I might not have had the cash to bring to closing to pretty much cover the difference here. So I had to bring it to everyone's attention what was going on. And essentially the guys who were in second position, they didn't want to do what's called subordinate their position, which is correct to the way that things were going. And they were aware that the deal was kind of going sideways. So now, not only did I have a deal that was going sideways and losing money on, and me and my brother's relationships blown up, the market's, going down, and we're definitely losing money on this deal. But now I've got these two hard money lenders who are feuding with each other. So the guys in second weren't willing to give up their position because, it put them in a weaker position, and they were worried they weren't going to get their capital back or the interest back. And then the other guy, he should be in first position, and he's got a lender's title policy guaranteeing him that. So now they're taking the gloves off and getting at it and talking lawsuits. And then the guy who was in first position with the 325,000, he starts saying, okay, well, I'm covered either way because I have a lender's title policy. So I'll just file that claim, and, everything will get taken care of. His money's covered. Well, when that happened, then the title company and their attorneys get involved, and I go in and I have a meeting with them thinking we're all friendly on the same team. So I go in to meet with the owners of the title company, who are also attorneys, and sit down with them, and I'm explaining the situation. And then they essentially tell me that if the hard money lender for the 325 files a claim on that lender's title policy, that they're going to turn around and sue me because the guy in second got recorded in front of the guy in first, and they felt that I didn't disclose there was going to be two loans on the deal. So I know I'm all over the place with explaining what's going on, but I'm probably a year and a half in the business, and I'm dealing with this entire situation. It was extremely overwhelming and stressful, but this was actually a defining moment in my career when I'm sitting in there at the title company meeting with these two attorneys. And I'm thinking, I'm just, we're friendly, all on the same team. I had been loyal to them, and they had done all my business from the get-go. So I'm sitting there meeting with them and thinking it's all good. And then I literally get hit out of left field with like, hey, we're going to come after you if this ends up being a problem for us. And that was a really defining moment for me because I wasn't expecting that to happen. And I held my own against these two attorneys, and it was just a crazy experience. I basically, I was very defensive, but I took it as they were suggesting I was doing unethical business. And as you guys know, I talk a lot about core values, and I take that shit pretty serious. So I literally remember pulling my phone out of my pocket, and we were at this long boardroom. I like tossed it almost like a frisbee from the side I was on all the way down to the other side of the table. And I was like, pull up my phone, call anyone in my fucking phone and ask them about Michael Burns and the way I do business and my integrity and my ethics. So we had this kind of battle going on, and then things toned down a little bit. So anyways, fast forward, the guys who weren't doing the right thing and subordinating their position, they ended up doing what they needed to do. And then we sold the deal, got out of it. The guy with the 325, he got paid back and made whole, plus all of his interest. And then I was able to negotiate with the guys who were in second position for the $100,000. I was pretty much able to negotiate them getting their $100,000 back, and I made them whole. But I wasn't able to pay them their interest on the deal. So not only did we have that whole scenario going on, but I also had to break the news of like, hey guys, I'm not going to be able to pay you your interest. Sorry, it is what it is. And that's just a lot to happen and go on in one deal, with the situation with my brother losing 25 G's of our money, all the attorney stuff, not and then essentially getting these guys to accept just taking their initial investment back. Major failure, a lot of stress. If I would have known that ahead of time, there's absolutely no way I would have ever gone through that deal. But between that deal I just talked about and that the deal before that where we lost 50,000, so I lost 75 G's between these two deals. Those two moments have been defining moments in my life and in my career and have catapulted me to a whole new level because, again, getting through those situations and coming out on the other side and doing a pulse check and realizing, oh, I'm alive, I made it. My mental capacity for stress and just situations and to know that I've been through situations like that before and I'm still alive and breathing and I made it and still in business and doing deals, the level of confidence that I have with myself and just my capacity to handle stress at a higher level really grew a lot through that. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, the $75,000 that I lost on those two deals, I have made tenfold over just with all of the lessons and the positive that came from that. So switching gears, that's business stuff there, but some other major failures that I've had and things that have been really, really difficult and really hard is broken hearts and bad relationships. Anyone that's had a broken heart listening to this, anyone that's been through that speaks for itself. It's a shitty situation and it's not fun. And I think if you're dealing in relationships and you have a fear of being hurt or a fear of getting hurt or you have trust issues or whatever it might be, that fear of failure or that fear of getting hurt or that fear of, whatever it is can get in the way of an amazing, awesome thing. For me, there's nothing better than having a strong, awesome relationship with people in general, but I'm talking specifically romantic relationships. So I've had in the moment, the first love that I ever had was my senior year in high school, and everything was cool. It was good. And then she was basically moving away that summer. And that was a shitty experience, not a cool experience at all. But, it happens, you learn and you grow. And then in my adult life, I've had a couple of other broken heart type relationships that have ended, and the things that you learn from those and, stuff you learn like that you need to show up and be a better partner and you need to, make adjustments to be in a successful relationship and the things that we learn from that. So when came around and I met Kia, who's my wife today, and everything is awesome. Without those experiences, I probably would not have been in the position that I was when I met Kia to be able to go off of those past experiences and have something to reference to and understanding like, hey, we connect differently. She's the one or whatever it is. And also like, hey, don't be an asshole. Don't fuck up and don't do, the things that I've done in the past that were my contribution to a failed relationship. So failed relationships suck in the moment and it's just not a fun thing to go through. However, if you take those lessons and you apply them as you're moving forward, you're going to be better equipped when the right situation comes along. And then right now, I'm 10 years in business. I've done hundreds of deals. I've made millions of dollars. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's been a crazy ride and there's been a lot of failure along the way. But I'm literally right now, as I'm recording this podcast, I've got a situation that could potentially end up being the biggest financial loss that I've taken in business with this contractor I'm dealing with. And it's really frustrating because I've done a lot of deals and I'm seasoned and I'm experienced and I don't even know how the fuck I got in the situation that I'm in with this guy. So the volume that we're doing with flips, I think we got 14 of them going right now. Contractors is always like a revolving door. When I was first getting going in the flipping business, a guy had made a comment one time and for whatever reason it stuck with me. But what he said, every contractor has a shelf life. When he said it, I just thought it was an interesting this thing to say and it just stuck with me. And now fast forward, 8-10 years of being in business and working with contractors and different relationships. I only have one guy that started with me from day one. And that's my roofer, Rick, who's just an awesome dude. And we're way more buddies and friends than he does, work for our different deals and stuff that are going on. But outside of that, like no one has been here from the get-go. And, about a year ago, I had my right-hand man, a dude who kind of became like a best friend and a brother to me. We had a falling out, and I never thought that day would ever come. And about a little over a year ago, that whole situation went down. So anyways, I'm always on the look for new contractors and starting new relationships. So I've got this guy who we hired to do a flip in September is when he started, late August, early September. Started on this rehab, pretty good sized rehab. The budget for it was 75,000, so it wasn't a paint and carpet deal by any situation, but by any means, I guess. But anyways, I went through my process of, trying to vet him up front, go look at their work, and then show them some of the homes that we have listed to kind of show the expectation of quality that we expect, and really just going through my process of trying to vet people up front, explaining the relationship matters. I don't care about one project, blah, 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 paint the picture of this long-term relationship that I'm looking to build. So we do that. He starts this project. Everything's off to a great start. And then we're 20% owners of a medical spa here in Salt Lake that does Botox and filler and weight loss and hair transplants, tattoo removals, all that different shit. So we had bought out an existing clinic here. So essentially what we needed to do was update the building. So, all new paint, cabinets, counters, all that stuff. So this same contractor who was doing that other project, he was probably 25-30% along the way on this house for us. I said, hey, you want to come look at our medical clinic? We need painting. And this guy's kind of a painter by trade. He does everything, but painting was his deal. So anyways, we hired him to do that. He knocked it out, did a great job. It was a little slower than we would have liked, but it went good. So then when he was about done with the medical clinic and then probably 60 to 70% done with the house he was working on, I gave him another project. And this was a much larger project. It's an $80,000 rehab, a lot more involved with just everything we're doing with, it's not a huge house, but there's just a lot of work that needs to be done there. So I had given him, I was comfortable because he was doing the one house, and then, he had done this $20,000 paint job. Everything went good. So usually I'll only give like a $10,000 deposit. He asked for 20 grand down on the third new property that I gave him. So no problem. Gave him the 20 or the 25 G's down, whatever it was, to get going on it. And he had earned some trust at that point. And then we had Thanksgiving was coming up. So it was a couple days before Thanksgiving. And he said he wanted to try and, so this is on the record, but off the record, we try to not deal with the cities as much as we can on our projects. So we were going to tear down an existing garage just because the framing was bad on it, and then reframe it and build it. So we decided we were going to do that over the long Thanksgiving weekend. So he hit me up on Tuesday. Thanksgiving's on Thursday. He's like, hey, I want to try and get the garage done over the long weekend so we can just knock this thing out, kind of fly under the radar. So I need another 25,000 or 20, I think it was 20 grand. And I was like, well, dude, you barely just got started on the other shit, and you already got, 20, 25 G's down. And never in my business career have I ever done this. So anyways, it made sense to me, and he had some trust with me. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going to build this garage over the weekend. So I issued him another $20,000 check. So the dude's got 45 grand at this point. Well, fast forward to today, the guy's walked off the job. He's done maybe $10,000 worth of work on the 45 grand that he has. And then that other property, he never finished that one either. So he's into us for, I don't know. It's probably, we'll have to see where all the bids and everything end up. But this has been like an infuriating situation and under my skin for the last month, because he's going against all of my core values, the relationships. It's disrespectful to the relationship. He's lied to my face over and over and over. And he's just done poor business and not kept his word. And those are all core values of mine. And I show up. I take relationships serious. Like, I'll lose money before I ruin a relationship. Like, the relationship always comes first. And my name and my word, that's all I had. That's what my dad's taught me since I was little. So showing up in integrity and keeping my word and doing what I say I was going to do is a really big deal to me. And this guy's not done any of that shit. And then now he's just flat out stealing and walking off the job. So anyways, it's gone super sideways, but this has mentally really eaten me alive the last month and affected me in so many more areas than just business. So this is a major, major failure. We're probably, I don't know. I mean, it could be a $60,000 deal. We'll see when it's all said and done. But the amount of things that I've learned through this particular situation will serve me much more than the money that I've lost. And it carries over into all aspects and areas of life, especially the relationship piece and the spiritual piece. So even though it's a situation in real estate and business, the lessons that I'm learning in life, and then also bringing it's a mirror as well. I'm doing all this spiritual work and working on myself really heavy the last couple of years. I talk about it. The spiritual piece is important to me. So there's a lot of things in life that I thought I had dealt with and moved on from, especially like anger. And this is serving it right back up to me as a mirror for myself and showing me you got a lot of work to do, dude. So anyways, those are some major failure situations that I've had and that I'm currently dealing with. But on the other side of them, I'm a better person. I'm a stronger person. I have higher self-confidence. I've got more capacity, more clarity, and we can't be scared of failure, guys. And even if you fail, those are likely going to be some of the bigger learning moments in our life. So you can't let you can't let it paralyze you. You can't let it keep you down. And that's exactly what it'll do. So don't let fear pillage your life and your ability to do the things that you want to do and the things that you want to experience. And also, just to circle back to the things we've covered on the first 4 episodes, if you're showing up in integrity and you're taking personal accountability for your life in all areas, and you're staying loyal to your potential, and you've got your core values identified, and you're controlling your environment and you're controlling your controllables, and you're doing everything that you can do that's your part, and you're in alignment with your goals and your values and what it is you want to do, that's where the law of attraction and the spiritual and the energy piece comes in. Like, it's impossible for you to be doing all those things and showing up in integrity and being in alignment with your purpose and your core values and what you want to do, and your actions are in alignment with that. By universal law and the law of attraction and energy, things are going to work out for you, and you will be guided as long as you're staying focused on, hey, what can I do? So that's one thing, when I'm sitting here thinking about my goals, 2022's here, and I'm writing my goals down, and I'm thinking, fuck, like, how am I going to do that? It doesn't even seem real or that it's possible. But then I got to look back and be like, well, I thought last year's goals were impossible, and it looks like we hit them. The year before that, those goals seemed impossible. And at the moment, I was thinking, how am I going to do that? And then you have the idea or the thought or the fear of failure that you can't do it, or you're not good enough, or you don't deserve it. So then you just quit and you don't even try, or you give up on them, which is just as bad as quitting. It's just delayed quitting. So what I do is I look at my past experiences for confirmation. It's like, okay, well, at one point in time, I thought making $100,000 was like a big deal. I didn't, it was this huge number. Like, that's a really hard thing. Like, how am I going to attain making 100 grand? And now if I don't do 100 grand in a month, it's a bad month. And I don't say that as from a flex position, but just to show the power of what I'm talking about. And that's also the power of momentum. So as you continue to do what you say you're going to do, and you see these small wins turn into large wins, that creates self-confidence, and it creates momentum, and it allows you to realize these dreams and these goals and this freedom lifestyle experience that we're looking for. Another thing too, when you're looking at these big intimidating goals and you're wondering, how am I going to do this? Really break it down. So instead of getting caught up on the big vision, the big target that's way down the road and doesn't seem real or attainable, when you start hacking that down into quarterly mini targets or monthly mini targets or weekly or daily targets, and it's like, okay, like whatever it is you want to do, you want to make 100 grand, and you break that down to what that is per month, and then what that is, per week. And then you back into it, whatever the goal is, you back into it. So you start at the end, and then you start backing your way down into it. And ideally, you want to get it down to, what do I need to do today? And if I do this today, and then I do it again tomorrow, and I do it the day after that, and then I put a week together hitting that smaller target, and then I put a month together hitting that smaller target, well, you're on track to hit that bigger target, whatever it is, whether it's losing weight, making money, a number of deals or volume you want to do. So if you can just win the day, and you can focus on just doing what you need to do today, and you're moving the needle daily, you're going to get to that big thing down the road. So don't let fear get in the way of the life you want to live and building your lifestyle. And it's not just money, it's everything, the fear of not making enough money, the fear of not being able to get into the shape you want, the fear of never finding that perfect partner, or the fear of never being able to have your dream house or go on the vacations you want or live the lifestyle you want, or the fear of, or the negative belief that you can't get in this state of being, in this state of peace and just going with the flow and living in a mentality of abundance. Just the idea of fear literally gets in the way of everything you want. So tell fear to fuck off, go build your lifestyle, and we'll see you guys next week.
This is the podcastfactory.com.